Your inner world does not have to be a reflection of your outer world.
Let us begin with a question that lies at the heart of all human suffering and all human peace. Are you the master of your inner world, or are you its slave? Are you the calm, unshakable mountain, or are you the leaf tossed about by every passing wind? We live in an age of unprecedented external chaos. Our attention is pulled in 1,000 directions by notifications, by headlines, by the opinions of others, by the endless drama of the world stage. Most people live in a state of constant reaction. A critical email from their boss ruins their day. A rude comment from a stranger sours their mood. The traffic on the way to work dictates their level of anxiety. Their inner peace is a fragile thing, completely at the mercy of external events they cannot control. They live as puppets, and they do not even see the strings. But what if I told you that this is not the required state of human existence? What if I told you that the great secret of the Stoic philosophers, of the most powerful leaders, and of the most serene spiritual masters was their understanding of one profound truth? The outside world has no power over you unless you grant it permission. The storm is outside. The calm is inside. Your mind is a sovereign kingdom, an inner citadel, and you alone are its ruler. This is the very foundation of the Bulletproof Mind. It is the understanding that you cannot always control the events of your life, but you have the potential for absolute control over your interpretation of and your reaction to those events. This is the only power that truly matters. A man may lose his fortune, his reputation, and his freedom, but if he retains mastery over his own mind, he is still a king. Another man may possess all the world's riches, but if his inner peace is dependent on the next stock market tick or the praise of others, he is the poorest of all beggars. The journey we are about to embark on is the most important one you will ever take. It is the journey to build the walls of your inner citadel so high and so strong that no chaos from the outside world can ever breach them again. It is the art of becoming mentally and emotionally untouchable. This is not about apathy or suppressing your feelings. It is about achieving a state of profound, unshakable inner peace and clarity, no matter what storms may rage around you. This is the true meaning of power, and it is the central promise of what we explore here at the X of Mentality. So I ask you, are you ready to stop being a leaf in the wind and start becoming the mountain? The first step is a conscious decision. If you are ready to claim sovereignty over your own mind, then make that declaration now. Subscribe to this channel, not merely as a click, but as the first stone laid in the foundation of your inner fortress. To build this fortress, we must first understand the fundamental law that governs its very existence, a law of perception that once mastered will change everything. And that is the first law of the Stoic mind, which we shall now explore.
It is not things that disturb us, but our judgment of things. To begin the construction of your inner fortress, you must first understand the fundamental law upon which its entire foundation rests. This is the first and most important law of the Stoic mind, the law of perception. The great philosopher Epictetus stated it most clearly over 2,000 years ago. It is not things that disturb us, but our judgment of things. Read that again. Absorb it. For within that simple sentence lies the key to all human freedom and all personal power. What does this truly mean? It means that between any event that happens in the outside world, a criticism from a colleague, a downturn in the market, a traffic jam, and your emotional response to it, there exists a space, a sacred gap. In that space lies your power to choose your interpretation. The undisciplined mind is completely unaware that this space exists. For them, the event and the emotional reaction are one and the same. The external stimulus immediately triggers an automatic, conditioned response. They are a puppet, and the events of the world are the puppet master. The master of a bulletproof mind, however, learns to live in that sacred space. They learn to widen the gap between stimulus and response. Let us make this practical. Imagine two people receive the exact same piece of news. Their position at their company has been terminated. The event is identical. It is a neutral fact. The first person, operating from a reactive mind, immediately assigns a story of catastrophe to this event. Their internal narrative screams, "I am a failure, I've been rejected, my future is ruined, how will I survive?" The story they tell themselves creates the emotion of fear, despair, and hopelessness. And that emotion dictates their actions, or more often, their inaction. They are paralyzed. The second person, a student of the Stoic mind, receives the same news. They pause. They enter the sacred gap. They acknowledge the fact, my employment here has ended. But then they consciously choose the story they will attach to that fact. They choose a story of empowerment. This is an opportunity. The universe has closed this door to force me toward a greater one. This is the catalyst I needed to start the business I have always dreamed of, or to find a position that truly values my talents. The story they choose creates the emotion of determination, of resolve, even of excitement. And that emotion dictates their next action, which is to begin planning their new future. The event was the same. The perception created two completely different realities. This is the power you hold. The first step in applying this law is to practice the pause. When a challenging event occurs, before you give in to your automatic emotional reaction, simply pause. Take a deep breath. And in that pause, ask yourself this question: what is the objective fact here? And what is the subjective story I am about to add to it? By simply creating this awareness, you separate yourself from the event. You reclaim your power. You remember that you are not the character in the play, you are the director. Mastering this law is the first step to becoming untouchable. But how do you consistently choose the perception that empowers you instead of the one that weakens you? To do that, you need a compass. You need a North Star by which to judge all events. This brings us to the second great law of the Stoic mind, the power of a definite purpose.
A definite purpose is the unbreakable shield of the mind. You have now learned the first law, that you alone have the power to choose your perception of any event. But this raises a critical question. On what basis do you make that choice? How do you consistently choose the perception that empowers you instead of the one that weakens you? To do that, you need a compass. You need a North Star by which to judge all of life's events. This brings us to the second great law of the Stoic mind, the law of a definite purpose. A mind without a clear, burning, all-consuming purpose is a mind left vulnerable to the chaos of the world. It is a ship adrift in a vast and stormy ocean. When the tempest rages, this ship is tossed about mercilessly. Every wave is a threat of annihilation. Every gust of wind inspires panic. The crew is in disarray, their only thought being to survive the immediate, overwhelming moment. The storm is their entire reality. Now, imagine another ship in the very same storm. This ship's captain has a definite destination burned into his mind. He sees in his mind's eye the calm and prosperous harbor he is determined to reach. For this captain, the storm is not his reality. It is merely a temporary condition that stands between him and his destination. His purpose becomes the ultimate shield against fear. It gives him the clarity to ask not, will we sink, but rather, how can we use these winds to our advantage? He commands his crew with calm authority, for his focus is not on the immediate danger, but on the inevitable arrival at his chosen port. The purpose provides the why that can endure any how. This is the power of a definite major purpose in your own life. When you know with absolute clarity what you are on this earth to do, you build an impenetrable shield around your mind. The petty criticisms of others become like gnats buzzing around a giant. You barely notice them. A financial setback is no longer a catastrophe. It is merely a problem of logistics to be solved on the way to your goal. The chaos of the world news becomes irrelevant noise, filtered out by a mind that is focused only on what is essential to its mission. Your purpose forces you to adopt the most empowering perceptions. It simplifies 1,000 small decisions into one great one. Does this action take me closer to my purpose or further away? If you have not yet done so, your most important task is to engage in deep introspection and define this purpose for yourself. Ask yourself, what is the one great, worthy objective? The act of defining your purpose is the act of giving your life a spine. It is the moment you stop drifting and start sailing. If you are ready to stop being tossed by the waves and start navigating your own course, then make a commitment to discovering your mission. Subscribe to this channel, a community dedicated to living a life of purpose, and declare in the comments, "My purpose is my shield." But a purpose that is merely written on paper is a powerless thing. It must be burned into the subconscious mind until it becomes the very lens through which you see the world. And to do this, we must employ the most powerful tool of mental engineering ever conceived.
Your subconscious mind will believe whatever you tell it most often. A purpose that is merely written on paper is a powerless thing. It is a noble wish, a faint hope. For your purpose to become the unbreakable shield we have spoken of, it must be taken from the conscious mind and planted deep within the fertile soil of the subconscious mind. It must be burned into your very soul until it becomes an automatic guiding force. And to do this, we must employ the fourth law, the most powerful tool of mental engineering ever conceived, the law of autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is the principle of self-suggestion. It is the control panel for your subconscious mind. It is the only method by which you can voluntarily feed your subconscious a new idea or plan. For your entire life, you have been subjected to the suggestions of your environment, the doubts of your family, the fears of the news, the limitations promoted by society. These suggestions have shaped your inner world without your conscious consent. The law of autosuggestion is you finally taking the microphone and becoming the most dominant voice in your own mind. The process is one of elegant simplicity, yet it requires unwavering discipline. You will take the definite purpose you have established and craft it into a powerful, concise statement of affirmation. This statement must be written in the present tense, as if the reality you desire is already a fact, and it must be charged with positive emotion. For example, based on our theme, I am in calm, complete control of my inner world. I meet every circumstance with poise and wisdom, for my focus is locked on my great purpose. Nothing can disturb the peace of my inner citadel. This becomes your new creed. Every morning upon waking and every night before sleep, the two times when the veil between the conscious and subconscious mind is thinnest, you will go to a quiet place and repeat this statement aloud. And here is the secret that separates those who succeed from those who fail with this method. You must feel the truth of what you are saying. Words alone are a cold and powerless blueprint. It is emotion, it is faith that acts as the fire, welding the new idea onto your soul.
You must feel the calmness. You must feel the strength. You must feel the invincibility. At first, this practice will feel awkward. Your old conditioned mind will resist. It will feel like you are telling a lie. This is normal. This is the sign that the old programming is being challenged. You must persist. With every repetition, you are carving a new channel in your brain. You are building a new belief. With enough repetition, charged with enough feeling, the subconscious mind has no choice but to accept this new blueprint as its reality. It will then begin to work day and night to manifest that reality in your outer world. This daily practice of reprogramming your mind is the most important work you will ever do. It is how you build the very foundation of a bulletproof mentality. If you are ready to begin this process, to take up this master tool, go to the comments now and declare, "I am reprogramming my mind." Let this be the first command to your new future. As you begin this daily practice, you will notice a change not only in your thoughts, but in your very emotional state. You will begin to develop the ability to stand apart from the turbulent storms of feeling, to observe them without being swept away. This brings us to the next law, the liberating strategy of emotional detachment.
You are the sky. The emotion is just the weather. As you begin the daily practice of reprogramming your mind with autosuggestion, you will notice a remarkable change not only in your thoughts, but in your very emotional state. You will begin to develop the capacity for the fifth law of a bulletproof mind, a strategy so liberating it can feel like waking from a long and troubled dream. This is the strategy of emotional detachment. Let me be perfectly clear. This is not apathy. It is not emotional suppression, nor is it becoming a cold, unfeeling machine. It is, in fact, a higher form of emotional intelligence. It is the profound understanding that you are not your emotions. You are the conscious, silent observer of your emotions. The undisciplined mind makes a critical error. It fuses its identity with every passing feeling. When the chemical storm of anger arises, it declares, "I am angry." When the vibration of fear is felt, it concludes, "I am afraid." In doing so, it becomes the emotion, a ship tossed on the waves of its own inner tempest. The master of the Stoic mind, however, learns to create a space between their true self, their core of conscious awareness, and the emotion itself. They learn that they are the sky, vast, clear, ever-present, and fundamentally untouched. Their emotions, the anger, the fear, the frustration, the joy, are merely the weather. The weather can be violent. A thunderstorm can rage, lightning can flash, winds can howl. But these are temporary events happening within the sky. They are not the sky itself. The sky does not become the storm. It simply allows the storm to pass through it. You can learn to do the same. How do you practice this art? It begins with mindful awareness. The next time a strong negative emotion begins to rise within you, I want you to perform this simple exercise. First, instead of being swept away by it, pause. Take a deep breath. Second, name the emotion as an objective observer. Say to yourself, the energy of frustration is present, or I am noticing the sensation of anxiety in my body. The simple act of naming it creates a separation. It is no longer me, it is an energy I am experiencing. Third, locate it physically. Where do you feel it in your body? Is it a tightness in your chest? A heat in your face? A knot in your stomach? Ground the experience in physical sensation instead of letting it run wild as a purely mental story. You become a scientist observing a phenomenon. And finally, breathe into that space. Do not fight the feeling, do not resist it. Simply observe it with a calm, detached curiosity. You will find that when an emotion is simply observed without the fuel of a reactive story, it loses its power. It passes like a cloud in the vast, peaceful sky of your true self. Once you learn to stop being a slave to your own inner weather, you realize how much power you have been needlessly giving away to the storms of the outside world. This realization leads us directly to the next law of the Bulletproof Mind, the art of guarding the varied gates of your perception.
You cannot maintain an inner fortress if you leave the gates wide open. Once you have learned to observe your own inner weather without becoming the storm, you are ready for the next great law of the Bulletproof Mind. This is the law that moves from defense to offense. It is the art of proactively protecting your inner peace by becoming a vigilant guardian at the gates of your own mind. This is the law of selective attention. In our modern world, the most valuable commodity is not gold, nor oil, nor land. It is your attention. Great empires of commerce have been built upon their ability to capture and hold your focus. The news media, social media platforms, advertisers, they are all engaged in a relentless war for your attention. And their most effective weapons are fear, outrage, envy, and division. They know that a mind provoked is a mind controlled. The person with an ordinary, reactive mind leaves the gates to their inner citadel wide open. They allow this flood of external chaos to rush in, unfiltered. They consume a constant diet of digital junk, fear-mongering headlines, pointless celebrity gossip, cynical commentary, and political outrage. They then wonder why their inner world is a landscape of anxiety and turmoil. The reason is simple. Just as you cannot build a strong, healthy body by eating poison, you cannot build a strong, peaceful mind by feeding it a diet of chaos. To become truly untouchable, you must become the supreme authority on what is allowed entry into your consciousness. You must practice the art of strategic ignorance. This is not about being uninformed, it is about being selectively informed. It is about having the wisdom to recognize that 99% of the information vying for your attention is irrelevant to your happiness and to the achievement of your definite purpose. Your task is to apply a simple filter to every piece of information that comes your way. Before you read the article, before you watch the video, before you engage in the conversation, ask yourself this one powerful question. Will consuming this information make me stronger, wiser, or more capable of achieving my life's purpose? If the answer is not a resounding yes, you must have the discipline to turn away. This means unfollowing accounts that thrive on negativity. It means turning off the news that is engineered to make you feel afraid. It means politely excusing yourself from conversations that are centered on gossip and complaint. This is not an act of weakness or avoidance. It is the ultimate act of mental self-defense. This act of becoming a vigilant guardian of your mind is a declaration of self-respect. It is a core principle of the X of mentality. If you are ready to stop feeding your mind with chaos and start nourishing it with power, go to the comments and declare, "I guard my mind." This is your commitment to your own inner peace. But guarding your mind is not just about the information you consume. It is also about the human energies you allow into your life. This brings us to a crucial law for protecting your fortress, the principle of the Mastermind Alliance. You are the average of the 5 minds with whom you most associate. You have now learned to guard the gates of your mind from the chaos of negative information. But this fortress must also be protected from negative human influence. This brings us to the 7th law of a bulletproof mind, a principle so powerful it can accelerate your growth or ensure your failure, the law of the Mastermind Alliance. It is an inescapable law of nature that our minds are like tuning forks. We will inevitably begin to vibrate at the same frequency as the minds we are consistently exposed to. We absorb the habits, the attitudes, the beliefs, and even the fears of those who form our inner circle. No man can build an unshakable inner fortress if he chooses to live in a city of ruins. Your associations will either be a shield that reinforces your walls or a battering ram that seeks to tear them down. Consider the effect of a draining circle. These are the people who live in a state of fear, complaint, and cynicism. They are energy vampires. When you share a bold new idea, they will give you a dozen reasons why it will not work. When you celebrate a victory, they will subtly introduce a new worry. Their very presence, their mental vibration, is a form of poison to an ambitious spirit. Associating with such minds is like trying to build your fortress in the middle of enemy territory. It is a battle you cannot win. Now consider the power of an empowering circle, a true mastermind. This is an alliance of individuals who are also committed to building their own inner citadels. They are a circle of strength, of purpose, and of positive mental attitude. In their presence, maintaining your own bulletproof mind becomes easier, more natural. They act as a powerful mirror, reflecting back to you the confident, resilient person you are resolved to become. When you doubt yourself, they will remind you of your strength. When you face a challenge, they will offer their faith and their wisdom. This is your human shield. Therefore, you must conduct a fearless audit of your inner circle. Take inventory. Write down the names of the 5 people with whom you spend the most time and energy. For each one, ask yourself this honest question. After I interact with this person, do I feel more energized, more confident, and more empowered? Or do I feel more drained, more doubtful, and more anxious? The answer will be your guide. You must have the courage to lovingly and gradually increase your exposure to the minds that empower you and decrease your exposure to the minds that drain you. Choosing your associations is one of the most critical decisions for your mental and spiritual well-being. It is a core principle of the X of mentality. If you are ready to build a circle that reflects your future, not your past, go to the comments and declare, "I am building my power circle." But even with the strongest fortress and the most loyal allies, life will inevitably test you with what appears to be defeat. How the master of a bulletproof mind handles these moments is what separates them from the masses. This brings us to the next law, the art of transmuting adversity.
The obstacle in the way becomes the way.
You have built your inner fortress. You have guarded its gates. You have chosen your allies. But even with the strongest walls and the most loyal counsel, life will inevitably test you. Storms will come. Plans will fail. The world will present you with what appears to be defeat. How the master of a bulletproof mind handles these moments is what truly separates them from the masses. This brings us to the 8th law, the art of the mental alchemist, the law of transmuting adversity into advantage. The ordinary mind views a setback as a tragedy. It sees a problem as a wall, a dead end. This perception, this story is the source of all suffering. It leads to despair, to bitterness, and to surrender. But the Stoic mind understands a deeper, more powerful truth. The universe is not punishing you with obstacles, it is training you. It is providing you with the exact resistance you need to build a new level of strength. Within every adversity, there is a hidden gift. Within every failure, there is the seed of an equal or greater benefit. The obstacle is not in your way, the obstacle is your way. The ancient alchemists dreamed of turning lead into gold. The mental alchemist of today performs a far greater miracle. They take the lead of hardship, disappointment, and failure, and through the power of their controlled perception, they transmute it into the gold of wisdom, resilience, and unshakable character. This is the ultimate X factor of a powerful mind. How is this done? It is done by changing the questions you ask in the face of a challenge. When adversity strikes, you must refuse to ask the weak questions. Why me? Why is this happening? Instead, you must immediately ask the questions of power. What is this situation trying to teach me? What strength is this challenge forcing me to develop within myself? Where is the opportunity hidden inside this problem? How can I use this unexpected turn of events to get closer to my definite purpose? Consider the great Abraham Lincoln. He faced a constant stream of failure, political defeat, public ridicule, and immense personal tragedy. A lesser man would have been broken 100 times over, but Lincoln used every setback as a tool to forge his character.
Every failure taught him a new lesson in strategy. Every criticism sharpened his resolve. Every heartbreak deepened his empathy. The very adversities that would have destroyed another man were the raw materials from which he built his greatness. He did not succeed in spite of his challenges, he succeeded because of them. This ability to find advantage in adversity is one of the highest forms of mental power, but it requires a specific state of mind, a tool that allows you to remain calm and logical when others are panicking. This tool is the foundation of all strategic thinking, a power that is found not in words, but in the absence of them.
In a world of constant noise, silence is a superpower.
The ability to find advantage in adversity is one of the highest forms of mental power. But to access this power, especially under pressure, it requires a specific state of mind. It requires a tool that allows you to remain calm and logical when others are panicking. This tool, the foundation of all great strategy, is a power found not in words, but in their deliberate absence. This is the 9th law of a bulletproof mind, the power of strategic silence. Our world worships noise. We've been conditioned to believe that the person who talks the loudest, who has the quickest retort, who fills every moment with words, is the one in control. This is a profound illusion. The undisciplined mind is a reactive mind, and a reactive mind feels a nervous compulsion to speak, to defend, to explain, to have the last word. This is not a sign of power. It is a sign that one's inner peace is fragile and easily disturbed by external forces. True power resides in composure. Strategic silence grants you 3 distinct advantages. The first is the power to think. When you are faced with a provocation or a complex problem, your immediate emotional reaction is almost never your most intelligent one. By choosing to remain silent, by refusing to be baited into an instant response, you create that sacred gap between stimulus and response. This space gives the hot, emotional part of your brain time to cool down and allows your higher faculties of reason, logic, and intuition to come online. You move from reacting like an animal to responding like a master strategist. The second advantage is the power to influence. In any negotiation, argument, or confrontation, silence is a source of immense psychological leverage. Your calm composure unnerves an emotional or aggressive opponent. They expect a reaction, and when you give them none, they become uncomfortable. They feel compelled to fill the void you've created, and in doing so, they often reveal their true intentions, their hidden weaknesses, and their negotiating limits. The person who is most comfortable with the silence is the person who controls the room. They learn more by listening than they ever could by talking. And the third, most crucial advantage is the power to conserve your energy. Every word spoken out of anger, out of fear, out of the need to prove yourself right is a drain of your vital mental and spiritual resources. It is a leak in the walls of your inner citadel. Silence is a form of self-preservation. By choosing silence, you are refusing to allow the external chaos to become your internal chaos. You remain centered, calm, and in control, observing the storm from the unshakable tranquility of your fortress. Mastering silence is mastering yourself. If you are ready to embrace the power of quiet strength, go to the comments and simply post a single word: stillness. Let it be a quiet declaration of your new power. With this final tool of strategic silence in your arsenal, your inner fortress is nearly complete. You have learned to become untouchable. But what is the ultimate purpose of this invincibility? Is it merely for your own peace? The final law reveals that the greatest strength is found not in protecting the self, but in forgetting it entirely in service to a higher calling.
To become truly powerful, you must serve a purpose greater than yourself.
You have now learned to build your inner citadel, to guard its gates, to choose your allies, to transmute adversity, and to wield the power of silence. Your mind is a fortress, strong and resilient. But what is the ultimate purpose of such a fortress? Is it merely for your own peace, your own safety? The final law reveals the profound and paradoxical truth. The greatest strength, the most unshakable peace, is found not in protecting the self, but in forgetting it entirely in service to a higher calling. This is the 10th and final law of a bulletproof mind, the anchor of service. A mind that is solely focused on its own protection, its own success, its own tranquility will always be, to some degree, self-conscious. And a self-conscious mind is a vulnerable mind. It is still checking the walls, still looking for cracks, still worried about a potential attack. The final stage of mastery is to shift your intense focus from yourself to others. It is to find a definite major purpose that is so large, so important, so all-consuming that your own personal fears and worries shrink into insignificance by comparison. This purpose becomes your anchor in the storms of life. When the winds of criticism blow, you are not thinking, "I am being attacked." You are thinking, "My mission is being challenged and I must defend it." When a financial setback occurs, you are not thinking, "I am losing money." You are thinking, "I must find new resources to continue my service." This shift from I to we, or from me to the mission, is the most powerful mental alchemy of all. Your ego, the source of all fear, takes a backseat to your purpose. The most untouchable people in history were not those who built the highest walls around themselves. They were the great leaders, the great humanitarians, the great innovators, the great artists. Their focus was not on their own safety or comfort, but on their contribution, on their service to humanity. And in this act of losing themselves for a cause greater than themselves, they found a power, a purpose, and a peace that was truly divine. The highest confidence is found not by looking in the mirror, but by looking out at the world and asking, "How can I be of use?" This is the ultimate X factor. It is the understanding that by giving, you receive. By serving, you become powerful. By forgetting yourself, you find your truest, most unshakable self. This journey, from building your inner fortress to becoming a lighthouse for others, is the ultimate purpose of the X of mentality. It is a call to a higher level of living. Therefore, I invite you one final time, not just to learn, but to become. Subscribe to this channel and make the ultimate declaration that your life will be a testament to the power of a mind anchored in service. Build your fortress not to hide from the world, but to become a source of strength for it. For in the end, the mind that is truly untouchable is the one that has given itself away completely to a great and noble purpose.
Activate the X within you.